And we're back. Wait, what? Why is my 2D stick starting from 1? Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's gonna need fixing. Whoops. And this is what happens when you make a video of your process, I guess. You realize just how many mistakes you actually make. That should be correct now. I hope. Anyway, so what a Spark table is it's just a list of themes. And you can have two lists, you can populate them, and you can come up with combinations that you will not have otherwise thought of. So I find that useful. It's something I did as well for my solo sessions, but I was improvising during that time. Now I'll have a bit more time to sit and think about it. So if you watched my Merkborg solo Doomed Misery playthrough, I used a list of like 4 things. So I'll just have like something like that, and these are our major themes. And you can get 6 items out of that. And the way you do that is, well, firstly you come up with 4 themes. In this case we have Eclipse, Hooks, Undead, and Church, Religion, Cult. I think Cult is better, yeah. So we have something like that. And from this we can extrapolate out 6 different things. So we can go with Eclipse plus Hooks, Eclipse plus Undead, Eclipse plus Cult, Hooks plus Undead, Hooks plus Cult, and Undead plus Cult. So I didn't come up with this idea either. I'm just stealing from everybody. This was from Chris McDowell. Also, this is what I used to make the random encounter table from Lair of the Frog God, actually. So that's some trivia for you. Let's try to extrapolate on this and try to figure out how we can turn these into more ideas. So Eclipse plus Hooks, Moon, Hook. I'm thinking that's the way that they sacrifice people. So I'm just gonna say like sacrifice method, hook victims in a circular fashion. And we can always go back in and refine this further, but let's just keep going. So Eclipse and Undead. So yeah, why are they doing this? They're doing this for the Moon Goddess. Maybe it's to bring back the dead. And maybe that's their goal. Maybe bring back their dead sibling. Yeah, so maybe we can say Head Cleric wants to bring back their dead sibling. Yeah. Eclipse and Cult. Eclipse and Cult, that's kind of straightforward. So thinking further about it, I guess we could say something like sacrifice must be done on the night of the eclipse, which is, you know, that night. Just so happens. Hooks plus Undead, the sacrificial method turns the victim into a loyal undead follower. Hooks plus Cult, let me think about this. Well, they could use them as weapons. I mean, they sleep on the hooks. But maybe they could also use them as weapons? Or, nah, let's just say the cult members sleep on hooks. Large holes in their backs. Scars? Large scars. Undead plus Cult. We already know this one. The cult members have the loyalty of a skeleton army. Pretty cliche, but I do like it. I like the Eclipse twist on it. Still fairly surface level. And I think I'm gonna use GFC D&D's brainstorming method here. So I'll do that along with the ideas that we already have. I'll just call this section brainstorm. Yeah, and we'll get into it. So if you want a good explanation of how the brainstorming method works, I'll leave a link in the description like I said, but you have a general statement. So in this case, it's going to be Cult of Clerics to a Moon Goddess dungeon underneath church. And we should also mention that they sleep on hooks. So this is basically the summary. So the first step in GFC D&D's video is just switching off the filter in your mind, and for 5 minutes, just write down anything you can think of that is related to this summary. Doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense, you can always prune it out later. The main thing is to have something on the page. So we'll go through with that first step. I should also probably mention that usually you want to do that as the first step in your dungeon ideation. But in this case, I wanted to try something different. I wanted to have something that is a bit more of a base. So, you know, I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes and we will start. Alright, time to let my imagination go wild. Okay, we got some pretty crazy ideas. Darkness was, you know, sure. Anti-gravity, probably the moon bit. Face on back, I think from probably the hooks. And yeah, just a bunch of crazy stuff. Magical telescope. The next step is you just look at what you have written down and within 5 minutes, write down the first thing that comes to mind. And that's it. So let's get into it. I've come up with some stuff that I think is pretty interesting. So I actually have this column here that says tag. You normally want to like group together ideas that are similar. But I think in this case we don't really need to. But GFC D&D also recommends noting which are your favorite ones. And let's see here. The fact that they killed the people from the church above them, I think, is one that I like. So I'm gonna mark that. Let's see here. Rotting with an embalming floral smell. I like the idea of that kind of being an analogy for the eclipse. Kind of like something hiding something else. Moon dial, I like this one as well. Blind but with eyes wide open, without pupils, hit cleric. I'm just gonna combine these two together. There we go. And I'm gonna favorite that. Sigils that glow yellow in the dark is something I thought was really interesting. Like the clothes have like symbols that only glow in the dark. But maybe instead of robes, we can say that it's just parchment. So robes slash parchment. Because I think that that can be reused and players can figure it out as some kind of trick. The crescent symbol as a puzzle, I should probably say it's a light puzzle. Magical telescope that can see into the future, rust on hooks, seeps into the channel. So I was thinking that blood might seep into the channel in the hook. I think that's fine. Alien language, sigils. These three are related. Like the prophecy being a poem, maybe translated by the sigils. I think that could be interesting. So yeah, in like just a few minutes, you have quite a few cool ideas. So I think this method works for getting rid of that part of my brain that tries to filter everything, make sure that everything makes sense. I think we're gonna do a bit of reverse engineering at this point. The random encounters for the D4 skeletons, I really want them to be D4 cleric skeletons of the goddess of earth. And the reason I'm doing that is those are from the church that was above this dungeon. The clerics of the goddess of the moon killed the clerics of the goddess of the earth and are using them as their minions, which is interesting. I think I also want maybe... yeah, I think I also want some loot, special loot that you can get. But not too much, this is a first adventure after all. Well, I mean there's the magical telescope, right? Maybe it can't see into the future. I want something more tangible than that. Can see past walls? Can see past one wall? I know. Okay, no, this is a dark vision magical telescope. Allows you to see in the dark. I think that's pretty good. Especially if you need to spy on something at night. In terms of the other loot, yeah, I think we'll get back to this. So to do, place gold and gems. Let's start making some rooms. Okay, so there's gonna have to be the prisoners' chambers, right? So prisoners' chambers. These are all gonna be circular, so all rooms are circular except when otherwise noted. Prisoners' chambers, and then we also have sacrificial room, archive, moon dial room. Maybe it can be leading to a vault. We'll be expanding on these as we go, don't worry. So, worship room. Darkness vortex. I don't know. I think the moon dial room, I should really note that there's a puzzle to the vault. light puzzle to the vault. Resting chambers, where there are also hooks, because these guys are kind of fucked up and they sleep on hooks. This is where I'm getting to the extent of my imagination, so I have this book here called Artifices, Deceptions and Dilemmas, and I am going to the rooms page, and I'm just gonna roll on a room. So room types, I'm gonna roll on that. 7. Rooms of war and conflict. Alright, there's a D8. Training room. Based on what we know, it seems like these guys like to test the limits of their pain, so instead I think it's gonna be a training room for how much pain they can endure. You know, like the scene from Dune where he puts his hand in the box, that kind of thing. The room of pain. That's a bad name for it, but I'll come back to it. Let's roll up something else. Let's see here. Another D8. 3. Rooms of pleasure and relaxation. Okay. Let's roll a D20 and we get a 12. A museum. Oh, okay. That might be interesting actually. Let's do one more. Okay, so we got room of specific utility. Actually no, let's go with deities and worship. Yeah, I'm just gonna roll on this instead. See what we get. 4. A human crypt. Oh yeah, they have to store their skeleton somewhere, right? I'm just imagining them having like the bones neatly packed away, and it brings a smile to my face. But no, I think crypt, empty, because it's gonna be the eclipse night, and that's when all the skeletons come out to play. I should probably write that down. Skeletons are out and about due to night of eclipse. I think that's gonna be enough for now. Alright, let's do another pass on this. So, prisoners' chambers. Prisoners are hung from meat hooks. Cylindrical pipes. Cylindrical white pipes run the length of the ceiling. Some of the hooks are rusted from old blood. Clerics of the goddess of the earth. Scraps of their clothing showing the earth goddesses' emblems can be found on the hooks. Kind of a little clue there. I like the pipes there for flavor, but also maybe the players can pull themselves up off the hooks that way. Yeah, we'll keep going. We might just come back to it later on. Sacrificial room. So, image of the moon on the ceiling. Image of complete darkness on the floor. Circle. Circle of the moon on the ceiling and circle of complete darkness on the floor. Let's see. Oh, maybe this is where the anti-gravity can come in. Hooks attached to both circles. The hooks attached to the floor circle contain a residue that reverses gravity on the item until the residue is removed. Totally didn't steal that from Winter's Daughter. Great adventure, by the way. Archive. Okay, so this is where we can put our little idea on the sigils that glow yellow in the dark. Archive is lit up by candles and an eerie moonlight from circle on ceiling. When candles are extinguished, parchment can be read due to it glowing from moonlight. Moondial room. I think we're gonna go with mirrors for this, so mirror puzzle. I'll just expand on that further later on. Worship room. I feel like the worship room and the room of pain is like could be combined. Darkness vortex. Yeah, maybe we could get rid of worship room. I don't like the idea of the darkness vortex, so I'm gonna remove it. Resting chambers. Healing salves and potions, I guess. The room of pain. It's gonna be hooks. So hazing ritual for a new cleric of the moon goddess. Other members using hooks to scratch his skin and creating intricate tattoos. So tattoos inscribed into body from hooks. circular tattoos. Yeah, let's go with that. Intricate circular tattoos. Museum. Moonstone. I can elaborate on that later. I think the idea here where I have the moon dial being made of white gems, I think that can be this instead. So we can say it's moonstone, like what you think is moonstone, but it's actually valuable gems. Question mark? I'm not sure about that. Crypt. Okay, we can use our embalming idea here. Empty coffins laced with sickeningly sweet embalming fluids. Floral embalming fluids. I kind of like the idea of dancing skeletons, actually. Celebrating the night of the eclipse. Okay, this is just turning into Winter's Daughter. I ran that recently and there were also dancing skeletons. But come on, it's dancing skeletons. You gotta have dancing skeletons, right? Alright, so yeah. We'll remove this. And we'll say 2 dancing skeletons, but there are like, I don't know, 8 empty coffins. 2 dancing skeletons celebrating the night of the eclipse, wearing the robes of the goddess of the earth. Yeah, I think we're on the right track. It's looking pretty good, but it still needs to be pushed even further. So it's additional refinement. We also need to key this to a map of some kind. I don't think I'll be recording and editing the additional refinement. That's just something that I don't think has as much value as showing the other parts of the process. So I'm actually gonna break because I have to eat dinner. But when I come back, I think we'll go through making the map for this because